And here we go. Good morning, Facebook. So make your way into a comfortable seat. Adjust your thighs, turning your thighs in. Place your fingertips down on the ground beside you, and as you push down with the fingertips, lengthen the sides of the torso and move the top of the upper arm bones back. And then keeping the length in the torso, place the hands lightly up or down on the legs. Take a breath or two and arrive into this space and time for practice. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to be here with you this morning. We're going to work on Hanumanasana today. So that's the front back splits. And this pose is referencing the story of Hanuman. And I'm not going to tell the story this morning, but the essence of the story is that Hanuman makes a great leap. And he actually does quite a number of things that are kind of stretching his capacity. And the fuel for those extraordinary acts is his devotion to his friend and teacher and the king of the kingdom, Ram, and his wife Sita. And so this pose is a pose that for most of us requires devotion on the physical level, because it's something that we need to return to time and time and time again. It accesses places where we often carry tension. And so as a consequence, it's also an opportunity to remember what actually fuels our practice, and that the asanas were never intended to be a place for striving in terms of the external view of the position of the body. The poses are asking us instead to feel into the experience and to be present with the experience, even in moments of discomfort and difficulty and challenge. And so in order to be present and comfortable to some extent in the discomfort, or at least present with the discomfort, the tradition says that it's really important to be clear on what is our drive, what are we devoted to, what fuels our practice, and what longing is fulfilled, or are we attempting to fulfill through our yoga practice. And so I'd like us to take a couple of moments here at the beginning of the practice to sit and either remember or feel into, it's always a process of remembering. The understanding is also that the longing and the intention is already within us, and that the bringing it to the forefront is a process of remembering what that intention is. However, in that process, it might feel like we are also creating it initially, and then over time it refines into the intention at our core. So we'll spend a few minutes sitting and touching into the intention in our center, and then use that to guide the process of the practice and to fuel our effort while holding us back from a striving toward the external expression of the pose that is not useful or not beneficial even. So with that in mind, please close your eyes. center the weight of your body on the sitting bones. Descend the tops of the thighs and the flesh of the buttocks evenly so that the weight over the sitting bones is held also in those ways. Feel into the base of the pelvis, the center of the base of the pelvis, the place that's midway between the tailbone and the pubic bone. And from there, imagine or feel into a long line that extends from that base point through the torso to the crown of the head, and even slightly beyond the crown of the head. Find the top point of that column at a point that's about a foot above the crown of the head. And then as you hold part of your attention at the base of the pelvis and part of your attention in that spot about a foot above the crown of the head, feel into the center point between those poles. Find that point positioned centrally, front to back and side to side, and you may have been given reference points to access that center in the past. However, first feel into where you experience it first. And then see if the location points or the location teachings have been helpful and reference the same place. Because this point has an aspect that's non-local, it's not fully describable. And we try, but mostly feel into the center of you. And once you have a sense of that place, go toward the back and the bottom of that area. So you move slightly back toward the spine and slightly down toward the pelvis. So you're at the bottom of that center point and at the back of that center point. And there, in the back bottom corner of your center, is the seed of longing that pulls you to practice, that holds you as you meet the challenges on and off the mat. And that provides the support to make extraordinary acts of faith, devotion. And listen in and see if there's words that articulate that deep innermost desire. And there may not be, in which case you just hold your attention there. With your next exhalation, join your hands together at your heart so that the thumbs reference that point. So the thumbs touch the exhale in a way that is in line with where you have a sense of your center. As we Om once to initiate the practice movement practice. Feel like the Om reverberates in the depths of your center. Take a full breath in. Pause there for a moment. We're going to make a second sound together. That second sound is Hrim. So it's spelled H-R-I-M. And you're going to reverberate that sound in the same way, so that there's a sense that that sound reverberates in the depths of your center. So take a breath in. And then one more Om. Inhale. And bow your head to your heart, turning the head and the knowing of the mind over to the depths of intention held in the heart. And then release the hands, lift your head, come over into extended child's pose. So touch the big toes together. Separate the knees as wide as the size of the torso. And then keeping the hips back toward the heels. And you don't have to touch the heels if that's not useful for your knees or your ankles or anywhere else. And if that's the case, you might want to grab your blanket and fill in the space between the hips and the heels. Then walk the hands forward. Separate the hands shoulder distance apart. Come up on the fingers, so you haven't rested the head yet. Come up on the tips of the fingers. Lightly drag the hands toward the knees and feel that plant the shoulder blades more deeply into the upper back. Lift the chin just a little bit. And now as you begin to bring the chest toward the ground, draw the center of the heart forward toward the thumbs. At the very end, release the forehead, release the chin, press the forehead lightly on the ground, but keep the center of the heart drawing forward toward the fingers. Now lift the undersides of the arms up and rotate the outsides of the upper arms around toward the sides of the face. Without losing any of the work in the arms, then place the hands flat. Keep lightly dragging the hands back toward the knees. Breathe. Feel into the place at the base of the pelvis and the space about a foot above the crown of the head. And using the connection to those poles, feel into again the center. And draw that center slightly toward the hands so that the longing in your essence, of your essence, lifts up toward the head. Look slightly down toward the heart. Couple more breaths. For the last breath or two, actively melt or intend to melt resistance to the message of that center and of the barriers that are sometimes in place that interfere with the remembering and the acting on the intentions of the heart. So that my effort in the practice is in service of the longing of my heart, not toward some ideal, some image that the mind creates. Inhale to your hands and knees. Keeping the hands well planted, just walk the knees a little bit together. Before we lift into downward facing dog, the hands toward the knees. Set the shoulder blades onto the upper back and allowing the lower back to curve in, the top of the sacrum to move in. Reach the center of your heart forward toward the thumbs. Even lift the chin for a moment to invite that to come a little bit more forward, the heart. And then dropping the chin, turn the gaze toward the heart, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Breathe. As you press into the base of the index fingers and the heels of the thumbs, wrap the triceps toward the sides of the face and lift the undersides of the arms up. Draw the center of the heart toward the thumb. Bend the right knee. Push the top of the left thigh bone back and lengthening the calf from the back of the knee to the heel. Descend the left heel. Bend the left knee. Press the top of the right thigh bone back. Descend the right calf, lengthening the knee to the heel. And go back and forth slowly, attentively like this. One or two more times. So one more time, left heel down. And then one more time, right heel down. And then both heels down. Look forward. Inhale. Slowly walk the feet up to the hands. Standing forward bend, Uttanasana. Bend the knees a little bit as needed and push the heels apart. And as you push the heels apart, spin the inner knees toward the wall behind you. Tether the sitting bones to the heels. Peel the low belly slightly off the tops of the thighs and feel like there's actually space between the front rim of the pelvis and the tops of the thigh bones. Keeping that sense of space, almost like you're folding over towel. Descend the crown of the head toward the earth. Bring the hands to the hips, bend the knees a little bit as needed, lift the chin. Inhale, come up. We're going to do Surya Namaskar a little slower and with some variations as we go. Step the feet a little closer together. So we want to go slower because it's warm, I think both there and here. So joining the hands at the heart. Recognize that this hand position is a gesture of devotion and it references that center. So you're touching the body with the thumbs in a way that references that center point. From there, release the arms down, rotate the arms, and take the arms up overhead. Join the palms. Touch the forehead to the thumb.
center of the heart and fold down over the legs. Inhale, lengthen the front of the torso, look forward, half forward bend. Place the hands flat and step or lightly hop all the way back into downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward into plank for a moment, and then drop the knees to the ground. Ashtanasana, descend the shoulder blades, arch the spine toward the earth, and then dive the chest and the chin toward the ground. Lift up a little bit, slide forward, lie all the way down on your stomach. Interlace the hands behind you, or you can hook the thumbs if you prefer. Scoop up the low belly, firm the buttocks, and now Shalabhasana, just lifting the head, chest, and arms. Inhale, curl the head, chest, and arms up. Lift your hands just off your hips and reach your fingers back toward your feet. So, enter your center, sliding forward. Move the head back a bit. Exhale and come down. Change the interlacing of the fingers. So work in a way that's emblematic of devotion as opposed to striving. Inhale, curl the head and shoulders back up again. Lift the hands just off the hips, keep a little bend in the elbows, and reach your knuckles toward your feet. Drag the center of your heart forward. Exhale, come all the way down. Place the hands under the shoulders, Adho Mukha Svanasana, tuck the toes under, press back downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here. Position the hands and spin the triceps toward the sides of the face. Now step your feet a little closer together. Pick up your left foot and insert the right heel between your big toe and your second toe. And now use that connection of the left foot against the right to draw your right heel more firmly to the ground. Release your toes to the ground, neither gripping nor lifting. And then release the left foot, as you put the left foot down, bend the right leg. Again, wrap the big toe and the second toe around, like at the Achilles tendon really. And then drag down to press the left heel to the ground. Release the toes. And then letting go of the left foot with the right. Look forward, inhale, walk or hop up to your hands. Look forward, exhale, fold over. Inhale, come all the way up. Stretch the arms overhead. Exhale, thumb the forehead and the center of the heart. Release the hands. Inhale, circle the arms up overhead. Exhale, touch forehead, heart, fold. Inhale, lengthen the front of the torso, look forward. Place the hands flat and step or hop back into downward facing dog. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, drop the knees to the ground, arch the back. Dive the chest toward the thumbs, slide forward, lie all the way down. Stretch the arms out alongside the ears. Excuse me. Extend the legs straight back behind the hips. And now we're going to lift the head, chest, the opposite arm and leg. So it'll be right arm, left leg, and so on. We'll go up and down without holding for a few times. So keeping the low belly lifting and the buttocks firm. Turn the palms to face each other, and then lift the right arm, the head, chest, and the left leg up. Exhale, come back down. Inhale, lift up, or move with whatever breath pattern works for you. And then down. Right arm, left leg. Down.
keep the pelvis even on the ground. Last time on the right side. Right arm, left leg. And then down. And then left arm, right leg. Reach the leg back. And then exhale down. Place the hands under the shoulders. With your next exhalation, press back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Breathe. So again, step the feet a little closer together. Keeping the left heel on the ground, lift the right leg just to hip height, so not so high. Rotate the right thigh in, so you lift the inseam of the leg, flex the right foot, and really push the right heel back toward the wall behind you. Exhale, bring that foot down to the ground. Even out the weight on the arms, keep the triceps turning toward the head. And then lift the left leg up to hip height. Rotate the thigh so the inside edge of the leg lifts. And then flexing the foot, push back through the heel. One more breath. And then that foot down, look forward, walk to your hands. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, touch the third eye and the heart. And then inhale, circle the arms. Exhale, touch the third eye, the heart, fold over the legs. Inhale, lengthen, look forward. Place the hands flat. Step or hop into downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, knees, chest, and chin to the ground. Slide forward, lie down. So now we'll lift the head, chest, the arms, and the legs. We're going to keep the hands in this position though, so drag the hands toward the feet. Scoop up the low belly, firm the muscles of the buttocks. And then with the legs stretching back behind you, when you're ready, lift the head, chest, and the legs. Keep the hands down and drag the hands toward the feet. And as you drag the hands toward the feet, use that to draw the center of you forward. Take the head back so that the center of the heart is more forward and as a consequence lifting more than the head. Not lifted more than the head, but more forward. And then lower the feet, exhale, downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here. As you press into the inner edges of the hands, spin the triceps toward the face. Now really strongly press the tops of the thigh bones toward the wall behind you. Anchor your sitting bones toward your heels. And firming the outer hips, really pull the legs back away from the hips and the legs back away from the wrists and the hands. Look forward, inhale, walk or hop to your hands. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come up. Exhale, touch the forehead and heart. Inhale, circle the arms. Exhale, touch the third eye, the center of the heart, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, step or lightly hop back into downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, knees, chest and chin. Slide forward. This time, release the hands back by the legs, Shalabhasana, the classic version. So, stretching the legs back away from you. Firm the legs, scoop up the belly, engage the muscles of the buttocks. Lift the tops of the shoulders away from the floor. And then when you're ready, lift up head, chest, arms and legs. Reach your hands toward your feet to do the same thing that we did when our hands are on the floor. So as you reach back, drag the center of the heart forward. Lift the tops of the thighs and reach back through the legs. And then place the hands under the shoulders. Bring the feet to the ground.
Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Breathe. Setting the legs and the arms as we've been doing. Connect the pelvis to the feet. And then connect the heart to the thumbs. So from the center of the pelvis, connect into the center of the arches of the feet. And from the center of the palms and the center of the wrists, connect into the center of the heart, the seat of longing, devotion, the true desire that pulls us to practice, to know who and what we are, and to understand that which is true and eternal. Look forward, inhale, walk or hop to your hands. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come up. Exhale. Last one. Inhale, circle the arms. Exhale, touch the third eye, heart, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, Hanumanasana. Inhale, plank. Exhale, Ashtangasana, knees, chest and chin, cobra pose. Inhale, slide forward, curl the head and chest. Exhale, Hanumanasana. Look forward, inhale, walk or hop forward to your hands. Exhale, fold. Inhale, circle the arms overhead. Exhale, hands at the heart. Pause for a moment with your hands there. Close your eyes. Feel into the base of the pelvis and the spot above the crown of the head. Find the center of you in between those two extremes. And touch the thumbs at a place that represents that center on that external body. Soften the jaw, the eyes, and tune into the voice of longing in the space of the heart. Place your hands. Open your eyes, take your feet wider apart, a couple of standing forward bends. So inhale, exhale, Uttanasana, hinge from the tops of the legs, fold over. Bend your knees as you need to. And take the heels out so that the outer edges of the feet are lined up with the long edges of the mat. Bending the knees a little bit. Connect your sitting bones to your heels. And keeping the connection of the sitting bones to the heels, turn the inner knees and the inner groins back toward the wall behind you. So you keep the tether of the sitting bones to the heels. And now lift the low belly, so hollow the low belly back away from the tops of the thighs. And then keeping all of that, stretch the legs straighter, sending the backs of the legs straight up from the ground, but keeping the sitting bones tethered to the heels. Descend the torso. Bend the knees, Hanumanasana. With the knees bent, take the first two fingers and the thumbs and wrap around the big toes. Keeping the knees bent, tether the sitting bones to the heels. Turn the inner knees and the inner groins back. Peel up the low belly. Now stretch the arms straight. Descend the shoulder blades away from your ears. And as you press the shoulder blades into the upper back, send the center of your heart forward. Stretch the legs straighter, keeping the arms straight. So you may have your legs straight, you may not, doesn't matter. And then bending the elbows to the sides, exhale, fold over, keeping the low belly hollowing back off the tops of the legs. Use the arms here to invite the torso to descend, but make sure that the arms, which can be the appendages of striving, they don't always listen to the voice of the heart, although that is the deeper intention. So make sure that the arms are not overdoing what is possible. And then one more, Padahastasana. So stretch the arms straight, lift the chest, lift the left foot up, turn the palm up, and place the left palm under the left foot. Do the same thing with the right. Ideally, the tips of the toes tickle the undersides of the wrists. Bend the knees a little bit. Again, tether the sitting bones to the heels, turn the inner knees back. Peel up the low belly. Stretch the arms straight. And descend the shoulder blades. Curl the center of the heart to some extent forward. Keep that stretch the legs straighter. And then, when you can't make anything straighter, bend the elbows to the sides and draw the torso down more deeply over the legs. Inhale. Exhale, release the hands one at a time, place the hands flat. Step back into downward facing dog just as a transition. So inhale here. Exhale, drop your knees to the ground. Cross your shins. Roll over, lie on your back. You can grab a blanket for behind your head as needed. We're going to do a few abdominal exercises here. So if you're using the blanket or pillow or something, the reason why it can be useful in abdominal exercises is there's a relationship between the vertebrae of the neck and the vertebrae of the back. So when we give a little more length to the back of the neck, we get a little more length to the lower back without pushing the lower back down into the ground. So once you've come into the supine position, bend the knees, place the feet on the ground. Scoop the low belly down. So you knit the low belly muscles in toward the center and down toward the spine. Take your arms to the sides, hold the edges of the mat. Rotate the upper arms slightly out. And then one at a time, lift the knees just up over the hips. Bring the shins parallel to the ground. So it doesn't matter if your lower back is completely touching the ground. It matters that the low belly is sitting down. And then you can either keep your hands at your sides, or you can place your hands on the center of your thighs and lightly push the legs and the hands against each other, creating an isometric contraction there. Breathe. Couple more breaths. Keep the jaw soft, the eyes soft. And then exhale, come down. One of the reasons that that's such a useful abdominal position is that it works the deeper layers of abdominal muscles. And that gives us access to that deeper structure of the inner body. And that's more in line with the center of the heart. So now we'll tap the toes from that position. So keeping the back of the pelvis even in weight, and the lower back long and the back of the neck long. Again, grab onto the edges of the mat with your hands. Knit the low belly down, in and down, and lift the knees up over the hips. Now keeping the left leg as it is, point the right toes. And without proofing the low belly or shifting the weight on the back of the pelvis to one side or the other, just lightly touch the toes down and come back up. So you're not bending at the knee, you're bending at the hip. Touch the toes down, come back up. Touch the toes down, come back up. You want to feel the movement happening in the hip joint, not the knee. Two more.
And then once you're up, pause. Keep the low belly down. Hold on to the edges of the mat. Lightly turn the upper arms out. Keeping the low belly down, point the left toes. And then toes tap and come back up. Really make sure that the weight is staying even on the back of the pelvis. And that you're removing tension in the throat, the jaw, and the eyes as much as possible. Two more. And then once you're up, bend the knees, place the feet on the ground. Pause for a moment. We'll do windshield wiper pose next. Stretch the arms overhead unless that's not working for your shoulders, in which case they can go out to the sides or down by your hips. Walk the feet out as wide as your mat. Drop your right knee toward your left foot. So you could stay here, your left knee pointing up, or you could pick up the left foot and use it to weight the right thigh down. Let the right hip lift. Turn the right leg in, so this is an internal rotation in the hip socket. And press the right knee away from you. Lengthen all the way along the right side of the torso and out through the right fingertips. Breathe. Feel into the sensations, the experience, the discomfort. Without striving or intensifying in a way that shortens the breath or tenses the jaw, or causes the eyes to project outward instead of allowing the world to come into them. Release the left foot, lift the knees up. Change sides, so keeping the right knee up, drop the left knee toward the right foot. Reach out through the left fingertips. Maybe if you did on the first side, pick up the right foot, use it to weight the left thigh down. And feel into the rotation, the internal rotation of that leg. One more breath. Or two. And then releasing the right foot, lift the knees up. Supta Panagustasana, extend the right leg straight on the, left leg straight on the ground. Take the left foot a little bit to the left and rotate that thigh in and really press the back of the leg down. Then bend the right knee in, catch the back of the right thigh. Push the heel away from you and stretch the leg straight. So now, press the right thigh in and reach the right heel to the ceiling. At the same time, press the left thigh down and reach out through the left heel. So same action in both legs. Now keeping the thigh, the right thigh pushing into the hands, begin to use your arms. So you bend the elbows a bit and use the arms delicately to draw the leg more toward the torso. So most of the arm work is just as a guide. So if you were to release the arms, you could hold the leg basically in the same position without your arms. And you're pressing the leg into the hands as much as you're using the arms to draw the legs toward you. Leg toward you. One more breath. And then release, bend the leg. Change sides. So extend the right leg straight, but move it over to the right a bit. Turn that thigh in. And really press the back of the right leg down. Draw the left leg in as you catch the back of the left thigh with your hands. Push the heel away from you. So you're really pushing it toward the wall that you can see. And then stretch the leg straight, extending the inside edge of the heel and the big toe toward the sky. Keep the connection of your sitting bones to your heels. It's easier to do here, less necessary. And then as you push the left thigh bone into the hands, press the right thigh bone into the ground. Reach out through the inner heels on both feet. And then keeping the left leg like this, perhaps begin to draw the left leg toward the torso using your arms, bending the elbow. Keep the jaw soft and the eyes soft. And feel the breath move through the center of your heart. As a reminder, the underlying devotion fueling the practice. Last breath. And then bend the left leg. Place the foot on the ground, bend the right leg, pause there for a moment. And then extend the left leg straight. With the left leg straight, press the back of the left thigh down. Draw the right leg in toward the chest. So now the left leg is more straight out from the hip, not to the sides. As you draw the right knee toward the chest, bring the right heel toward the right sitting bone as much as possible. So half lotus here. Hold the right ankle with the left hand and rotate at the hip. So you turn the leg out, the right leg out in the hip socket, and put the right foot as high up as possible on the left thigh. Now holding the right ankle with the left hand, extend the right knee away from you. So it's really about lengthening the front of the pelvis, the kind of the groin area where the right thigh and the pelvis connect. So making that space as long as possible. Extend the right knee away from you to increase the elongation in front of that hip. Breathe. One more breath. Let go of the foot, the right foot. Just slide it down the left leg and at the ankle, uncross. Keep the right leg straight. Press the back of the right thigh down. Bend the left knee. Draw the left heel. Draw the left knee toward the chest, bringing the heel toward the sitting bone. Then holding the ankle, rotate at the hip joint. Put the left foot as high up as possible on the right leg. And then holding the ankle with the right hand, reach the knee away from you and down. So you're really inviting space in the area where the left hip and the top of the left thigh meet. Notice that you'll have quite curve into your lower back here, and the lower back will curve up away from the ground. As you extend the left knee away from you, keep the left foot as high up as possible on the right thigh. 2 more breaths. Let go of the foot. Slide the left foot down the right leg and uncross at the ankle. Roll, bend both knees, roll all the way over to your right side, and then come over onto your hands and knees. So here's a place that you might want to open your blanket up or have something for under the knees. We're going to do a series of lunge positions. So As you come around onto your hands and knees, step the right foot, take the left knee back. So the first one, have the right knee over the heel, line the right sitting bone up at the right heel, and then walk your left knee back as much as possible. Breathe. So this first one, we're just going to keep the fingertips on the ground and tune into the breath. So for the next several breaths, just take the breath in to the place of sensation and exhale. Imagine sensation leaving the body with the breath. And then shift the hips back, change sides. So right knee back, left foot forward, left knee over heel, walk the right knee back more. Keep the left sitting bone in line with the left heel, and the right knee not completely necessarily in line with the right hand, but hip distance apart. So your knees are not more or less in one line, but they're wider apart. And breathe. Soften the jaw. Send the shoulder blades. Feel into the sensations. Any experience of discomfort that the sensations bring. And recognize what that discomfort is in service of. I want to know the longing of my heart. I'm devoted to understanding myself at my essence and bringing that out into the world around me. Or variations on those themes. Shift the hips back. Swing the left foot back. Come back to the right side, so right foot forward, but this time not as far. Have the left knee more under the left hip, and the right shin and the right thigh at right angles. And then from here, bring your hands up to your front knee if you haven't already. With the hips forward, press very lightly especially the left buttocks, but both buttocks forward. Draw the low belly back, move your front ribs away from your shirt, and find a straight line from your left knee through your hip to your shoulders with your ears. And then inhale, stretch the left arm alongside the left ear. This might be enough. If you already have a lot of sensation in the front of the left thigh, you might want to stay here. Otherwise, lean over to the right. So extend the left hand out to the right. Keep the right knee over the middle toes of the right foot. Lean over. If you're feeling adventurous, you could release the right hand, and you might come over enough to touch the right fingertips to the ground. Not necessary, but possible. One more breath. And then inhale, come up. Exhale, and change sides. Yes, hello puppy. So now left foot forward. So it's not such a big step, so that your right knee is directly under your right hip, and your left knee is directly over your left heel, relatively speaking. So press the buttocks forward and draw the low belly back, and move your ribs away from your front shirt. So the torso is really in a very erect position, and there's a straight line, right knee, hip, shoulder, ear. Extend that line by taking the right arm up alongside the right ear, and then lean over to the left. Lengthen all up along the right side of the torso. As you come over, if you did on the first side, you'll take your left hand down and reach the fingertips to the ground. That will intensify for most people the sensations. One more breath. And then inhale up, exhale down. Here you can move the blanket to the side, and you might need it. We're going to do pigeon prep next. So come into downward facing dog. If you know that the blanket is useful, put it on the right side of your mat. And then step the right knee to the outside of the right wrist. Walk your left knee really back, left foot back, and turn the left leg in as you put the left thigh down on the ground. So we're prioritizing the left thigh down as opposed to the right hip down. So if your right hip is up in space, you might want to support it with a blanket. And we're staying upright here. So if your lower back is feeling strained, just walk your hands a bit more forward. Otherwise, keep the hands back. Turn the left thigh in. Reach the left thigh, extend it back away from you, and put as much of the front of the left thigh in the ground as possible. Just slightly drag the right knee in toward the pelvis so that there's a little engagement in that right hip. And so it's the right hip that's holding you more than your left hip or buttocks. Lift the center of the chest up, and if you can, where your hands are, drag your hands toward your hips and invite that to draw the center of the heart forward. So the back leg here and the torso is basically in Hanumanasana. It splits, and it's just the front leg that's in a different shape. So now to come out, lift the back knee up, walk it in a little bit, place the hands, and then come back. Hanumanasana, downward facing dog, change sides. So left knee to the outside of the left wrist, left foot in front of right hip. Lifting the right knee up, really walk it back. So you're wanting to make the right leg as long as possible. And it's just like what we did in Shalabhasana. The locust pose lifts at the beginning of the practice. Turn the back thigh in and walk it back. Support the outside of the left hip as needed. Adjust your hands so that there's not unnecessary strain in the lower back. Release the eyes. Breathe. Again, lay as much of the front of the right thigh on the ground as possible. Drag the hands toward the hips. Curl the heart forward. So think less about up and more about forward. Take the head back, turn the gaze slightly down. Last breath. So from here, Gomukhasana. So you can just roll onto your left hip and swing the right leg up and all the way around so that the right knee is crossed on top of the left. I'm changing orientation just for the purposes of the video. So, as best you can, stack your knees. Draw the flesh out away from your left sitting bone and descend your right sitting bone down. As best you can, create equal distance between the heels and the hips, so the feet are relatively at the same plane. And then lift the center of the chest up. Descend the right outer hip down. And lift the center of the chest up. We're not going to come forward here. Stay upright. works for your body. Take your hands overhead, press the elbows back toward the wall behind you, move the head back, and feel the shoulder blades press forward into the upper back. And then if your shoulders are comfortable with the arms straight, stretch the arms straight. This arm position is the final position in Hanumanasana. It's not necessary for today, but just so you know. Use the arms to lift the entire rib cage up. And then feel again into the center of you. Keep the jaw and the eyes soft. And then exhale. Touch the center of the forehead, the center of the heart. Release the hands. Change the legs. So if it's to come forward onto your hands and knees to do that, feel free. Otherwise, just simply shift the position. There's many ways that you can change sides, so any of those are options. Rotate the left calf out away from you. Draw the right sitting bone, the flesh away from the right sitting bone a little bit so you have more internal rotation in that leg. And then descend the left hip down. Even your heels out in terms of their relationship with the sides of the thighs, and make your left sitting bone heavy. Just ever so slightly, scoop the low belly away from the tops of the thighs. And with the buttocks descending, join your hands at your heart. Stay here. Or hands just overhead, elbows back. Or full extension of the arms. If you're doing full extension of the arms, let the shoulders lift, the shoulder blades lift, and erase all the space between the upper arms, the tops of the shoulders, the neck, the head, and the ears, so that there's really a sense of unity. The arms are an extension of the torso. Feel into the center of the heart. One more breath. And then touch forehead, heart. Come down. We're next going to do the full pose, Hanumanasana proper. So for this one, you may want to have your blanket or pillow or whatever you have close by. And if this pose doesn't work for your body, you'll just repeat the one we've just been in. So I'm going to change sides. You're going to come over onto your hands and knees. Extend the left, bring the right foot forward. Take the left knee behind the right, but have the left foot, the left shin, and the left foot back from the knee. Now, squeeze your right foot right in tight against your left knee. Left shin, sorry. Bring your right foot in toward your left shin. And then turning the right calf out a little bit, you'll smash that calf. It'll be a strong sensation in the calf. Sit back toward your left heel, letting your right knee lift. So if you can kind of come down on or close to the heel, then probably no additional support is needed. Otherwise, you're going to take the blanket and fill in the space between your hips and your heel. So you're balanced on the left shin, the left knee, the left heel. And really the trick is you want to keep the right foot as close in as possible. You're on the top of the right foot and the right foot's pointing back. So if you can balance here, and join your hands at your heart. We're not going to do Hanumanasana arms. We're going to stay in this shape. If that works, take the hands overhead, elbows back, and then keeping the buttocks heavy, just like in the first variation, stretch the arms up. Sink the hips down, lift up, breathe, balance. For some people, this is much easier than the first version, and for others, it's the reverse. So just notice what it is like for your body. And then take the hands down and come out of the pose onto your hands and knees. Now bring the left knee a little bit forward so that you can take the right knee behind. Point the right foot straight back. Squeeze the left foot in and sit back. You can adjust the right foot a little bit as you need to, but really you want it to be squeezed in as much as possible. If you're not steady or balanced, you're going to use the blanket folded up however much you need in between your hips and your heel. And then descend the shoulders, balance, join your hands. So you're really sitting around, or kind of the flesh of the buttocks are covering the middle. Stretch up through the crown of the head. Either there, hands just overhead, elbows back, or maybe arms all the way straight. When you go all the way straight, what will tend to happen is the hips will lift. So make the buttocks heavier, especially to send your left hip down. And lengthen by lifting the rib cage away from the hips. Stretch the arms up. One more breath. And then bring the hands down. Just for a moment, release the feet and extend the legs straight out in front of you. So we're going to do another series of lunges and then we'll be ready for Hanumanasana. So you may again want the blanket across the mat for the knees. And then come over onto your hands and knees. Yes, hello puppy. And then step the right foot forward, again beside the right hand. But this time, have the right foot on the ground with the right knee forward. So with the right knee forward, bring your hands up to your front knee and push down from the base of your thigh into your heel. At the same time, extend the left knee back toward the wall behind you. Lightly, without straightening the front leg, draw the low off the front thigh, back away from the front thigh. Descend the shoulder blades, draw the center of the heart forward, take the head back. One more breath. And then place the hands down. Turn the right foot slightly out to the right. Keep your left hand on the ground. Bend your right knee. So you could, bend your left knee. You could just stay here. That might be enough. And what's good about just staying here and not using your hands is that it's forcing you to engage the muscles on the back of the thigh to help get greater stretch from the front of the thigh. However, the other additional option would be to take the right hand and catch the left ankle. And lightly draw the left heel toward the hip. Lift the chest. You can turn the chest a bit to the right. Make sure that your knee is over the middle toes. It's forward of the ankle, but it's still facing the middle toes. Exhale. Gently release that leg. Come up, change sides. So step the right foot back, bring the left foot forward. So you're bringing the left knee, this time more forward over the left toes, while extending the right knee back. Keeping that, bring your hands up to the base of the thigh, so just at the top of the knee. And use the hands there to help keep your left heel heavy. Rotate the outside of the right hip forward. Peel the low belly back. Draw the center of the heart forward and take the head back. Breathe. Really strongly push into the left heel, and at the same time, stretch the right knee back away from you. One more breath. And then take the hands down. Turn the left foot, so you pivot on the heel to turn the left foot out a bit. Turn the right hand out a bit. Press the knee over the toes, so it's a little bit more of a turn out here. And then bend the right knee. Again, you might just stay here, and certainly it's good to stay here for a couple of breaths. In the active range of motion, we see what's available just from the strength of the leg. And then if you're using your hands, remember that they're not striving. There's no ideal that we're moving toward. We're just using the arms to give us an experience of sensation that we can explore and that we can practice in the face of discomfort, sensations that are uncomfortable. We can practice tuning in to the deeper intention of our heart. We can practice softening around the discomfort. So instead of hardening against discomfort, we want to melt, soften, dissolve around it. And then very gently release. Come back. You can move the blanket to the side now. And we're going to do pigeon prep one more time. So step the left knee forward, right knee to the outside of the right wrist. Slide the left knee back just like we did. Prop up the right hip as needed. So if your right hip is in space, for this one you'll really want to roll up the support that you have with you, your pillow or your towel, and tuck it under there. Lengthen the left thigh, and place as much of the front of the left thigh on the ground as possible. Bring your right hand a little more toward the midline of the body, and now bend your right knee. Left knee. You can stay here. Again, using the active range of motion can be really useful to not overwork. However, it's also beneficial to at times use the arms. So if it works for your body, reach back, catch your left ankle, shin with your left hand, bending the elbow, draw the heel in. So if you know that internal hold of the foot, you could use that. It doesn't necessarily get you further, so for today, we're not caring about the rotation of the arm, we're just drawing the heel in to get a stretch in the front of the thigh. One more breath. Exhale, release. Lift the knee up, walk in a little bit, place the hands, downward facing dog, just to change sides. So now left knee to the outside of the left wrist, walk the right knee well back. Your left foot's in front of your right hip. The right knee back as much as you can, prop the left hip as needed. Walk the hands in a little bit if that's available to you. Pause, breathe, especially here because we know what's coming. And this can be a strong position for many bodies. So keeping the jaw soft, the breath fluid, and the gaze inward. And walking the right knee back, bend the right knee. Stay here for a breath or two. Keep the right hip turning toward the left heel. Put the left hand a little more in front of you. Reach back, catch the right ankle. So for some people it might be useful to push the ankle into the hand and then have that pushing back as you draw the knee in. Another way to work would just be to relax as much as possible and draw the leg in more passively. So generally speaking, more flexible, you want to make it a little more active, so you push the foot against the leg as you draw it in. If you're really tight, and this is already at maximum sensation, then you want to relax and soften more. And those are just guidelines. They're not hard and fast rules. You want to explore this in your own body. A couple more breaths. And then release. Just roll onto your left hip and swing your right leg around for a moment. So, Hanumanasana, front back splits. We're going to move towards something. So, if your knees are sensitive, you might want to use your blanket across your mat for your knees. Or if your heel is sensitive on whatever surface you have around you, you might want to use your blanket for the front heel. I'm going to use mine for the knees. And if both are sensitive, then you'll want to grab a small pillow or towel or shirt or something for your front heel. So we're going to start on the hands and knees. So in this position, take a moment and feel into the center of you. Recognize that the external view or performance of the pose is immaterial, not useful, and that the pure purpose of the practice is to strengthen our capacity to sit in our intention at capacity in discomfort without over or underdoing, and following the longing of the heart, so that the expression of the pose is an expression of the longing that pulls us to practice. And that's never fully able to be seen from the outside. It's only able to be felt on the inside. So keeping your left knee back, step your right foot forward. Take your right foot several inches forward from the knee. So now you're not at a 90-degree angle at all. You're at a greater than 90-degree angle. Have your fingertips on the ground. If you have yoga blocks and they're close by, this is a place where you can put blocks on either side of you for your hands so that the torso can be more upright. Otherwise, have the hands a little more forward, but as close back as possible, so we're not walking them more forward. Then inch the knee forward, turn the left outer hip forward, and then walk the left knee back a little bit. You may release the left toes, and for some people that might be a more appropriate option. And then my mat's a little bit in my way because I'm too far forward now, so you might have to adjust. So once you have the foot relatively forward, come back onto the heel, flexing the foot, and slide out to a place where you can sit for a few moments. So you're not at my position. If you are, come back out of it for a few moments. Turn the left outer hip forward. Press the inside edge of the leg down toward the ground. And then after a breath or two, perhaps go forward a little. When you're near the end, it's actually not about forward. So for some people, if you're close to the ground here, it's not about going more forward, it's then about going down. So you descend the top of the right thigh and the pelvis down instead of going more forward. Then pull the front heel back in and change that. So come back onto the hands and knees. Now it's really important that this pose isn't just infinite extent, that you get out and you're close to the ground with your pelvis, and that may or may not be what's happening today. But just when you're at that place where you're at the back of your calf on the ground, somewhere around there, you're a few inches maybe from the floor, you want to think, how do I just go down rather than going more out? So, second side, step the left foot forward, right knee on the ground, you're really on the base of the thigh here, and walk the left foot forward enough that your left shin, your left leg is at a greater than 90-degree angle at the knee. Pause here, spin the outside of the right hip more forward. Lift the center of the heart up. Again, if you're using blocks, bring them back toward your hips as much as possible. And then keeping the jaw and the eyes soft and feeling into the longing of your heart that is what pulls you to practice, and this is just part of practice. It's not a pose to accomplish or perform. Slide the left foot a little more forward, eventually come to the heel. And then come to a place where you can pause. You're not at maximum sensation, but you're relatively close. Turn that outer right hip forward. Descend the inner left leg down. Breathe. Perhaps go a little more forward. But again, if you're now getting close to the ground, and you don't have to be, but just if you are, then you're sitting down. You're not going more forward, you're going down. One or two more breaths. And then pull that leg back and come back. So I'm going to push the time a little bit because when we've done so much work for such a pose, we do want to try it a second time. So right leg forward without any ado. Right leg in that greater than 90-degree angle position. Turn the left thigh in. Slide the right leg a little more forward. Come to the heel. Come forward to a place that you can breathe into, but you're getting toward the maximum sensation. Maximum for any given day. Turn the inside of the right leg down. Slide maybe a little more forward. If the back of the right calf is on the ground, that's the signal that you're going to then think down, not forward. And as you sink the hips down, lift the center of the heart forward, up a little bit. One more breath. And come back. Change sides. So with the right knee back, step the left foot forward. Come into that greater than 90-degree angle. Right leg back, left leg forward. Slide a little more forward. Staying here in just this position where you're at a greater than 90-degree angle, but more of your left foot is on the ground, is a really useful place to hang out. Might have been helpful to have said that earlier, but just so you know now, come onto the heel, slide more forward. Again, when the left calf is on the ground, or if it is today, then that's the signal that you're thinking more about how do I go straight down to the ground and not more forward. Lift the center of the heart up. Breathe. And then pull that heel back. And then extended child's pose. So touch the big toes together. Separate the knees. Walk the hands forward. Just like we did at the beginning of the practice. Pull the hands toward the feet. Drag the center of the heart forward. And then as you bring the chest toward the ground, place the forehead down.
but keep the sense that the heart is drawing toward the forehead. At some point you can release the arms, placing the forearms down on the ground. Just take a moment, and this isn't a judgment. It's just a reference to the capacity to be present. So consider, did I honor the longing of my heart in my practice? Is my work, especially in more advanced poses that demand more presence? Was this presence evident? Did my practice kindle my connection to my center? And it doesn't matter what the answers are in terms of like I did a good job or I did a bad job. It's just attuning to how well did I execute my intention. Walk the hands back in, lift the head and chest up. Bring the knees just for a moment right together. Fold down, take the hands back by the feet, palms up. Curl over. Balasana, child's pose. And then place the hands under the shoulders. Press yourself up, lie on your back, support the head as needed. A brief Shavasana. We'll go just like 3 or 4 minutes past the time, so recognize that. So as you settle into Shavasana, place yourself in a way that's completely comfortable. Let the legs roll open slightly, so it's not a huge turnout of the legs. Take the arms to the sides and rotate the whole arm so that the palms face up, or bend the elbows and place the palms down on the torso. Close your eyes. Let go of any need to hold the body up against gravity. And let the weight of the body give into the gravitational pull of the earth. And feel the body, especially the back of the body, melt into the ground. Let the front and the sides of the body become lighter. And give into the ethereal pull of the air around you. And let the front and the sides of the body melt out into the air.
let the body take up more and more and more space. And with the face completely relaxed, tune into the center of you, the heart of your being. And once you find the general area, it might be slightly different than where it was earlier in the practice, doesn't matter. Feel into it for right now. Move into the depths of that space, going slightly back toward the spine and down toward the pelvis. Listening to the longing at the depths, that deep desire that ultimately fuels all right action. That supports us. Rest there. Without moving away from the connection to your heart center. Gently deepen the breath. And then moving slowly and intuitively, make your way to your side. And then eventually up to the take a good seat. Sitting, again, feel into the center of you. And join your hands together so that the thumbs touch against the body, representing that center point. And with the intention of continuing to move from our center to act from the deep desires of our heart. And stay attuned to the longing there. We'll close the practice with one Om. Inhale. Om. Thank you. Namaste.